coming to you live from the city of perfection. It's the podcast of perfection, the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and nobody handles garbage like we do. On the show with me this week, there are two more mother humpers. First, one of these days, somebody's going to kick his ass. It's Chris.
I was going to say something funny, but I can't remember any quotes now.
You threw him.
I did struggle with best quote later on, so there's not many of them. And secondly, check this out. I found the ass end. It's Andy.
I'll take it.
We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on social media, Facebook and Twitter, 10 Point Podcast on both of those. That's all letters, no numbers. And you can find us on YouTube, where you can occasionally find video versions of our podcast, depending on
if you press record.
What goes right or wrong with every episode. And it was my fault last time. Get in touch with us on the social medias and underneath the video on YouTube, or you can join our cult over at 10pointpodcast.com. I feel like we've got to start a cult now after last week when we were
definitely have more cults, good cults.
the death of the cult. So yeah, join the 10 Point Podcast cult at 10pointpodcast.com, i.e. you can donate over there and send us a bit of cash, and hopefully we can make this a bit better. But yes, find us wherever you can.
Fans.
All the options to get in touch with us. We want to hear from you, and we want to add some more movies onto our movie wheel. I know we've only taken, is it 2, maybe 3 of them off the wheel. We want to get some more on there. Before we crack on with this week's episode, though, we have to find out what everybody's been watching in the last week. And I will go first. I think I've been to the cinema a couple of times, and also I'm following up on at least one that Andy did last time. So I went to see No Time to Die, the newest James Bond. Prior to doing that, I did the last 2. I did Skyfall and Spectre, which were exactly as I remembered the 2 of them. Skyfall's probably the best one, and Spectre's not much great. But I agree with most of what Andy said, which No Time to Die is. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. The ending isn't brilliant. There's a lot of what ifs and whys and buts and all that sort of stuff towards the end. But it's fine. It is long. I didn't feel the 2 hours 40, Andy. I know you said it felt long on reflection. Is that what you said?
On reflection, but not when I was watching it.
Yeah, it kind of flew by. It was a short 2 hours 40. Like I went to another film straight afterwards, which was 40 minutes shorter, and it felt longer than Bond did. But yeah, it doesn't get me excited for whatever's next. Like I'm not like, oh my god, I can't wait to find out who the new James Bond is, because obviously Daniel Craig's finished.
Peter Dinklage.
It's fine.
Imagine that'd be brilliant.
That would be a direction, I'll say. Yeah, they could go with that. He isn't English, though. I think they probably won't cast an American ever as James Bond. I know there've been Australians and stuff.
Or Davis.
Or Davis. I see there's a trend in your suggestions here.
The good effect into vents.
Yeah, you can sneak into evil bases quite easily, yeah. And then I followed up No Time to Die. I went straight into, literally 10 minutes after No Time to Die ended, I went to see The Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos prequel film, which is totally not worth your time. If you like The Sopranos, you have to be a full-on absolute fanboy to get the significant references. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, I recognize that person. It doesn't seem to know what it is. It's not enough of a fan service to be just for all Sopranos fans, and it's also not a good enough film on its own to be for like someone who doesn't know Sopranos well to step into it. So it's fine, and it feels like it's an unnecessary story about characters that we don't really know. So I would not hurry up to see it. It's a good one maybe to watch after you finished all Sopranos, to go straight into it, but not recommend it. But other than that, I watched Halloween because it's October, so I watched the original Halloween movie because you have to, essentially. And then TV-wise, I finished What If. Anyone else been keeping up with What If? But
I stopped after like the 3rd episode, after the zombie one.
I didn't mind the last episode.
I really liked
it off a bit better.
The second last episode I really liked, and I thought, this is incredible. This is so much. And then the final episode, bit disappointing. But yeah, I now see what they were going for with What If. It's more of an education into this is what multiverses are like.
It definitely is. It's just like this could happen and this could happen, so you're not going to get confused when you watch like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is what's going to happen to you properly in the real films. So this is what could happen.
Yes.
If it is. And then the last thing I've started, 2 episodes, Squid Game. It's not a film, but me and Andy were discussing before Chris showed up. But for me, by the second half of the first episode, I am like, this is incredible, I'm loving it. And then they gave me exactly what I didn't want in episode 2, which was I don't want to not see the game happening now.
That's exactly what Nicola said when she was watching. Like, I don't care about it. Anything is not to do with the game.
It was the hardest episode, and then I watched 3, and that was it. Full steam ahead to the end. That's what I did.
But that's it. Now I'm thinking, right, they have no reason not to play, so I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the game play out. But that's why I've only watched the first 2. Hopefully I get the rest cracked out maybe in the next week. But then, on to somebody else then. Chris, what have you seen in the last week?
Well, I was planning to watch Silent Hill 2 because I needed to know all the questions that were left hanging, and then I got sucked into the Squid Game series and haven't watched it yet. So I'm going to try again this week to watch that. So, to be continued. Apart from that, that's all I've watched, the Squid Game.
What about you, Andy?
I've been watching old Two Guys, a Girl at a Pizza Place, still finishing that marathon off for Ryan Reynolds.
How many episodes are there of this show? That's been like months you've been doing it.
85, I think it is, or something like that.
That explains it, yeah.
But other than that, I found this random rare film that I've never even heard of. I thought, I'll put it on. It's called Queen Pins, and it stars Vince Vaughn and Kirsten Bell. And the premise is it's based on a true story about 2 American white women. It's a white woman and a black woman, and they call it pink crime. So it's like kind of women like doing crime, kind of white collar crime.
Right. Okay.
And it's all about a coupon scandal that happened in America.
Right. Okay. I have heard of that. I don't know.
And yeah, what a random banger of a film that is.
Okay.
It sucked me in. Such a great idea. But yeah, Kirsten Bell's your typical kind of suburban white female. It's like stay-at-home mom, blah blah blah, and then she gets her black friend, and then they end up doing some crime capers, and it all goes wrong. Let's face it. But yeah, based on a true story. Vince Vaughn absolutely steals it again. Playing Vince Vaughn and everything he does.
Yes, he just plays the same character. It could always just. It's going to be like one of these. I don't know. The Nexus people that you get from Marvel, where they're the same.
Yeah.
And everything.
He is the same. He plays the same mannerisms. It's just like what he is. But I think he's even played this type of character in one of his films before. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of these films that took me by surprise, and it's definitely really good.
Is he not married to Kristen Bell and something else? I'm sure there was a couple and something else I've seen.
They definitely starred together. But
that couples retreat thing.
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking it's forgetting Sarah Marshall, but it's not. He's in that. But yeah, it must be that one. Yeah, there we go. But yeah,
definitely worth your time if you find it on whatever streaming service it is in whatever country you're in.
Wherever you can find it. That's a good segue. We should better get on to what the point of the podcast this week is, with point number 1. The point of the podcast this week is the 1990 comedy horror Tremors, which I found on Amazon Prime because it was streaming there in the UK. And did you guys get it on Netflix?
I watched it on Netflix, but Amazon Prime does have every single thing. I only watched it on Netflix because the proper HD version was on Netflix, whereas the Amazon one was standard definition.
I'll have to see what I saw differently then, because I watched it on Amazon Prime. So yes, it is very, very available to all listeners to go seek out and get Tremors. Tremors brought to us by Universal Pictures, which we have previously covered in, and this is how it came up on my list, Jaws and Oh Brother, We're Out Now. So no, my theme is not Universal Pictures movies. Every single one I have done this season has been Universal. That is not my theme. But also The Burbs, The Mummy, Casper, and several others. We've done. I think Universal is the most, helped by the fact that I've done it with every film this season, I think. Tremors, written by S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock, who are a writing team. Everything they make together. They are responsible for writing Short Circuit 1 and 2. Batteries not included. They are behind Tremors, but they actually wrote the films 1 through 4 and the television series. I think there's only one TV series, but they wrote all of that. Everything else, Tremors-wise, is based on their characters that they wrote. And they also wrote a film called Heart and Souls. It's got Robbie Downey Jr. in it, and they also wrote Wild Wild West, which I'm sure Andy's ears will prick up at because I think he's a massive fan of Wild Wild West. But yeah, all their big writing,
even if Will Smith hates it, it's underrated.
All of the writing was like mid 80s to mid 90s. That's where their era was, and everything beyond that is Tremors essentially. Directed by Ron Underwood. We have covered Ron Underwood as a director before. Does anyone have a stab in the dark of what he has directed for us before? It's not dissimilar to this film.
Sounds familiar. Burbs.
Idle Hands? I don't know.
No, City Slickers was what he did. Which
that makes sense.
The most similar to this, it's in the Old West.
Right, I thought you going for like weirdness. Oh, I've got a really itchy nose.
Yeah, he directed Tremors was his first feature film he did was Tremors, then City Slickers wasn't long after. He also did Heart and Souls, Mighty Too Young, Pluto Nash, 3 episodes of Reaper, which I mentioned the last time we had him on the podcast. But since then, he's done 17 episodes of Once Upon a Time, and then 1 or 2 episodes of every single television show you could possibly imagine. He's directed everything, but just in 1s and 2s. So we've covered him before. The film Tremors stars Kevin Bacon, who we have never actually covered before. I'm sure we could get to him by several degrees of Kevin Bacon very quickly, I would imagine. Namely, Forrest Gump, because Kevin Bacon, his films are Friday the 13th, Footloose, Tremors, A Few Good Men, and then Apollo 13, which came up a couple of episodes ago in Forrest Gump because everybody else was in it. He followed up those with Hollow Man, Mystic River, The Woodsman, Frost Nixon, X-Men First Class. But R.I.P.D. again, because that's the 3rd week this season.
What a film.
And then
I think you hate it.
Ryan Reynolds is in it. Why would I hate it?
I really hate anything with Ryan Reynolds in it. I've got The Following, the television show, because I knew there was something recently I'd seen Kevin Bacon in that I watched a bit of, which was a kind of cult, again, TV show about a cult where he was a police officer trying to detect what was going on. But I don't know about you guys, but to me, Kevin Bacon's just the guy from E adverts. Yeah. I'll get that at the end. That is, I just
Super.
on a daily basis, always on Super. Yeah, that came up.
It's just that bit where he's like, she's with me because I am interesting. And that was it. That's all I remember from that film.
I just remember it being out of nowhere really violent. I just remember like, I was ready for it. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a big enough film for me to mention, but yeah, he's in Super as well. Co-starring with Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, who has one of them faces that I'm like, I've seen you and stuff. Like, what have you seen you in? His big films are Remo, Unarmed and Dangerous is his first thing, which I've never heard of, but apparently he starred in it and it was a big thing. That was before Tremors. He's also in the sequel to Tremors. He does carry over to number 2 as Earl. He followed up those with Shortcuts, Naked Gun 33 and a Third, which is definitely where I was known from. Chain Reaction, and then Road Trip. He plays the dad of, I can't remember the character's name, Road Trip, but yeah, it's Naked Gun and Road Trip. That's where I know Fred Ward's face. They are the two for me. Tremors, on a budget of $11 million, opened in the US for $4 million. Final US gross, $17 million. Worldwide gross, I do not know. Nowhere on the internet says anything but 17 million. So either we just don't know, or it had a horrendous opening. It did, in fact, open in cinemas around the world. So
should we calculate for inflation? So it could be like 175 million.
What I do know is it's so 17 million took at the US box office. Its US gross in home video sales and or rentals totaled 3 times that. So it made 3 times the money in people renting the video and taking it home with them. They did actually go to see it in the cinema. I read that the entire Tremors universe of films is something like worth $500 million in gross it's taken from Tremors 1 through all the remakes and sequels and all that. So it's made a lot of money as a brand, has Tremors in its history. But this film, I don't know what the final worldwide was. It was released in the US on the 19th of January 1990. And it made no splash whatsoever at any awards ceremony that year, but it crept into a couple of 1991 awards. In total, it got 5 award nominations ever, and it won none of them. It got 1 nomination for Best Young Supporting Actress for Ariana Richards at the Young Artist Awards, but she lost to Christina Ricci from Mermaids in the 1991.
I've got a funny story about her.
You want to give it now?
Yes. I once took her and her husband to bed.
To bed, did you say?
To bed. Well, to their bedroom. But yeah, true story.
Okay.
Is that as much as we're getting? No reason as to why you did it. Just like, come to bed.
Well, I picked them up from the airport, and then we kind of got on famously. And then she's like, "Can you help me over to my room?" And I was like, "All right." And then put their suitcases in the room, and I left.
They shut the door in your face, did they?
You missed the size. That was him asking for a devil's freebie.
I don't think it was.
Fair enough. Okay, we don't get that kind of content on any other podcast.
Right.
No wonder she'd ever made it. Right, okay. It did get 4 other nominations, did Tremors, that's the name of the film, but it was only at the Saturn Awards, which seems to be, the Saturn Awards is our award ceremony. Every film we do, one way or another gets mentioned. It's like the Arts of Science Fiction or something awards.
Yeah.
We hit
All my
them.
favorite TV shows have won a Saturn Award.
There we go. Every film hits it one way or another. So 4 nominations, none of them won, but nominated for Best Special Effects. And it says a lot about 1990, 1991. So Best Special Effects, it lost to Back to the Future 2, which is hard to argue. Best Supporting Actress, both Finn Carter and Reba McEntire got nominated. So essentially the two women in this film both got nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And they both lost to Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, who I think won the Oscar that year. Could be wrong. And it also got nominated for Best Science Fiction Film, but it lost to Total Recall, which again I can't really argue because Total Recall. Bit of a classic.
Can't beat three titties.
But yeah, that's it in terms of awards. It never won a single award, so maybe I have to wait till the pointies. I've got a synopsis here for Tremors, written for us by Todd. I'm going to guess he's
Todd.
And I've not read one word of what he's written. It was just the biggest one. Trying to escape their dead-end life in the desert town of Perfection, Nevada, Valentine, Val, McKee, and Earl Bassett find themselves sidetracked when corpses mysteriously start piling up around them. When Val and Earl have a run-in with some creepy tentacled creatures that have made lunch out of a road crew, they retreat back to the town to spread the news. Although these monsters are not exactly intellectuals, their mental powers are still mind-boggling. Detecting a human hiding in a car, they dig under the vehicle, causing it to sink into the earth. Val and Earl get help from several townspeople. With the help of Rhonda, Val and Earl kill one of the monsters, but there are 3 of them left, and they're each about 30 feet long. Walter starts calling the monsters graboids. When the survivors think they have outwitted the graboids by taking refuge atop the roofs of buildings, the graboids merely destroy the building's foundations, killing 2 people. The graboids are quick learners when it comes to stalking their prey, and the humans must continually be on their toes if they are to stay alive, while they try to find a way to defeat the graboids. He likes saying graboids. It shows up 6 times in my little explainer there. And also, that is going to be a very easy question for somebody in the quiz later. Who picked Tremors? I picked Tremors because, well, I kind of thought it fit in with my theme. Having this film, my memory is a bit cloudy, and it doesn't strictly fit into the rules of my theme.
No,
so my idea might actually work. This was might blow my mind how it was fit in, but
Chris's film the week before kind of shafted what I was going to pick. And I thought, something different. And I thought this film was a wee bit would fit. I did a bit of Googling and it showed up in places that I thought, okay, that explains why it would fit. It doesn't really strictly fit, but it sort of does. And of course, I've seen this at least 3 times, probably more before. So I'm assuming you guys have seen it. It's a 90s classic.
Well, I was kind of getting a Mandela effect. I was waiting for things to happen, but it never happened. So I think I might have seen Tremors 2 or something.
Or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6 on the island, or the series.
Yeah.
Whichever one has legs. That's the one I remember.
Right.
That could be anything after 2.
I don't think I've ever gone beyond maybe the second one. I think I've seen the second one, but beyond that,
3's ass blasters. That's a banger.
And my last thing I've got before we start, what channel would we have seen this on? Because
ITV all day long.
It's ITV. Is it one where you can wait for that it's coming again? Right.
Yeah.
Right. ITV all day long. That's a channel. just Tremors and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
On to point 2 on the podcast, the high points. So it's got the best bits and things of the film. Where
I take this one first.
You go first. You go ahead.
Kevin Bacon's hair.
Oh, that's coming up later on. Don't you
I have
like, it is a high point because that's some hair. I can only dream of having hair like that.
It's not quite a mullet, which it gets away with a lot. Like, it's aged well because it's almost a mullet, but then it's not really a mullet. So it's not too 90s.
It's a standout feature for the start of this film is Kevin Bacon's hair.
It's kind of like normal hair. Then there's a point. It just takes on a mind of its own. It just starts going wild, and I just can't take my eyes off it anytime it's on the screen.
It's a beautiful man. Like, it really jumps out at you. Can see why he did become a movie star in the 1990s. Like, this was quite early on. What did I say came after this for Kevin Bacon? So he'd had Footloose by this point. But yeah, A Few Good Men, Apollo 13, there were actual proper films he was in. Like, it was proper movie stardom rather than just being just being the handsome guy. So yeah. Yeah, I can't argue. Kevin Bacon, a very good leading man. Chris, you get any early high points?
Yeah, like the chemistry between Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, like right from the start. It just looked like they had a blast making this film together. There's like the opening scene with them and the cigarettes. They're just like giving little smirks to each other, and they're just like fanning about with the cigarettes.
I've not seen this since really I kind of heavily started watching Frank Grillo films, and he just looks like an old Frank Grillo.
It could be his older brother, couldn't it? Really? Yeah.
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 That's all I was thinking about. It's like, why is Frank Grillo in this? He's not aged a day.
I do also feel like Fred Ward, he's kind of happy, like, you be the star. I will just be the older, wiser one. I know the joke is at least one of them's right, but I'll be the older, wiser one, and you go lead this film. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and it does kind of work for the dynamic that the two of them have.
Yeah, like their dynamic through the whole film is just great. They just bounce off each other.
It's a shame Kevin Bacon didn't come back for another one, really, because yeah, it worked really well.
It might now, 'cause maybe they're money.
Well, I don't know. You pay well, I'm sure. My first high point I've got doesn't strictly happen at the beginning of the film, but it's an early thing. Is I just love the setting up all the things that make vibrations on the ground. Like, again, you kind of know something's underneath there. So there's the guys working on the road drilling, and then the guy kind of with his hoes farming in the farm and all that, and then the pogo stick girl. I like all these little bits where you're like, oh, don't do that. There's something under the ground going to get you. All the little tease of all these little bits.
It's fun. If you've never seen this film, call it Tremors. It's a giveaway.
Well, in my research, I found out that the first section of the film, you're supposed to have no idea what's going on. Like, it's dead bodies shows up, and it's like, it could be, we know there's 14 people live in this town, it could be any one of us, and then you find out, oh, actually, the woman's out there, and there's tremors, and it's something underneath. But then the production company, I guess Universal, are like, no, we want monsters. Put monsters in early. So they had to insert the farm one, was it the sheep getting scared and all that. They had to write that in, so we see the monster early. And the first bit where you see the mound of dirt following Rhonda across, they put them in because we need to know that it's a monster early on. No one will care unless we know it's a monster.
See, that's what I get. Like, it's a very Jaws-like film, but it's just on land. Because in the film of Jaws, you don't see the shark for ages, and it works really well. Which I think this would have worked really well if they just kept it. People are disappearing underground.
Yeah, probably. It's maybe the first, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes. If you just been like, you don't really know what's going on or where the danger is, as it were, would be a better.
It would have made that first appearance a lot more noteworthy.
Exactly. Yeah. I mentioned this in passing there, but I do like the early scene that I like is the bit they put in, which is the farm scene, where the sheep begin to get freaked out, and then when Val and Earl show up in their car. And the camera kind of pans up as they walk into the farm. Then they go into the building, and the camera just stays where it is, and you follow them around, and then you just see the hat in the field. And it's a good scare when you take the hat, because it's like, oh, what is going to, like, we know he's been sucked underground. What is going to be underneath that hat? But just the weird angle of his face pointing straight up is kind of
that leads perfectly to my next bit. I don't know why I find it so funny, but it's when Kevin Bacon just jumps back. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" And he's got this big, massive smirk on his face.
So yeah, maybe he made himself laugh.
It was just, I don't know. He's trying like I say, I like it when they keep what's the word? I forgot what it was now. But carry on. They keep little mistakes like that in the film.
Yeah.
What it is.
But it is someone's natural reaction coming up to something. It's always quite good. Yeah. It
always makes me laugh.
Any other high points, Andy, early on, or are we halfway through the film yet?
Mine's mostly character based. Like, the other one was what do you call him? Fake Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, the guy wants to store you.
Wang?
Yeah. Chan, yeah. Because I got a pop for him because I used to love Three Ninjas, and he's like the teacher in Three Ninjas. I was like, oh yeah, he's in Tremors, so that cheered me up again.
It's a strong stereotypical character one, this, where
Yep.
I'm assuming Chinese guy with a name like that. It's very Chinese, and then you have Miguel, like he's playing. I am a Wild West Mexican, so I'm going to play 100.
The problem I have with Miguel is he looks exactly like Mario.
He does, yeah.
He's like, actually, he would have been a better fucking Mario than Bob Hoskins.
Absolutely, yeah. He would have nailed it. My next high point I've got is when they kill the first monster with I don't know what you call it, the concrete kind of river thing.
The wall.
Yeah. Viaduct, where it crashes into the wall. I like that scene a lot because they're running away, and having seen it, to me, it's quite a memorable image from the film. Is that happening? It's probably also when I first saw the film, might have been about the last point of the film that was on before I had to go to bed or something like that. So it stuck with me. But and again, you find out that these things are killable, so it always gives you a bit of hope. I like having that. But yeah, it plays it when then you see the actual size of the bloody thing. But I suppose it'll take me on to now.
I always remember it being smaller.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's 30 feet long, like what Todd said, but they're...
I don't know, like 30 feet, but I always remember being quite big.
Yeah.
Gas blasters are a bit smaller in 3.
Gas blasters. But the actual worms themselves are really good. I don't at any point do I not think it's like glued together. Like it looks like a real thing. I'm surprised.
There's a dubious bit, but that'll come on my low point.
I suppose the worms aren't brilliant, but the actual thing itself looks pretty good.
Kevin Bacon when he's doing his little footloose dance over one. It's
yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, the actual worm itself, I've not got it as a high point, but I thought they were pretty good.
I kind of like my midpoint high point is when they're all standing on the roofs, like was behind you in the thing. Just that entire scene where it's just like it keeps panning, and it just looks like kind of like when you go to like Universal and you see like a set, and you can sit and watch it because you know bits are going to move and stuff like that. It's like, what's going to fall? What's going to collapse?
I thought I had that in my high points. I did mention it somewhere in my notes that. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. It's my never not good, which I'll spoil here early. Is when a film builds a town, and by halfway through the film, like you're saying, you know where everybody and everything is. Like, you know, they're in this general store, you know that bit's over there, you know they live up on the hill, and like you say, the camera pans around and you know who everybody is. I love that stuff.
It's just the characters on some of the things, it's like they're a bit stupid choices, like on top of the water tower and the kid on top of...
Well, that was by necessity. She had to go there.
She kind of ran away.
Yeah, but still.
But
and then there's the kid on the little shack and stuff like that. It's just
well, the worst
you idiots.
You know, it's like Kevin Bacon just didn't care about anybody. When he see the graboid, he was off. It doesn't matter whether it's a girl that he liked or not. He was off. He just fucking left them.
My next high point I've got is Earl falling in a hole, and
That's my next one.
It just made me laugh. It just steps in a hole, and it makes everybody else freak out. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm not actually being eaten." A little bit. The landing was me. I don't know. Anyone got any others?
Bart, the crazy gun nut. His sense of urgency at the end. He's like standing there looking. Do I want this gun or do I want this gun? What do you think? Firepower or? And the people are like, fucking move! No, we'll take this one.
Why don't I just take both?
Yeah,
exactly. Take both.
Yeah, fill up the thing. They had about 100 guns in that thing that they were in at the end.
It's just his vibe, just like 5 years of food, all those weapons. Heartbreaking for him.
Yeah. I've only got a couple of high points. The next one I've got is when Rhonda just goes, no noise, no vibrations, and then you just hear pogo, 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 pogo. It's a great scene that they're like, and they'll have to run out and try and save her. I thought that.
I would have totally farted. Like, proper loud.
Nervous fart.
I feel like shit, just like a big ripper out.
How
proper
vibrations were they though? To like hear people talking on roofs.
Yeah, no, it's like there's a low point. It's coming from my low points here.
My last high point, now I'll put it now, is just essentially the way they kill the last one in the end is pretty smart, I thought. And while getting it, and especially when he throws the pipe bomb thing behind it to make it go quicker, I thought was very smart, because there's a bit of a lull. I don't know if it's anyone's low points, but yeah, once they're on that rock and they're kind of stuck, you do start to question them, like, you've made an idiot yourself doing this, stuck out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm glad, actually you have come up with a plan. And then it explodes quite satisfyingly on the bottom of the hill when it gets there as well. So that's my last high point, is the very, very end is quite satisfying when we get there.
I got nothing.
Nah, I'm out too.
On the low points then. Andy said low points a couple of times, so we better let you start off with the ones that you've been saving.
One of mine is just the ongoing stupid plans. Like, I reckon every 10 minutes in this, there's a stupid plan. It's just like...
I don't know, I thought they were actually quite smart for once.
I think they think on their feet quite a lot. It's like they don't really know what they're dealing with at any point.
Well, there is that. But once they do get going, it's like, all right, these things are like underground. So it's like that bell end is sat on a tire. Like that.
Yeah.
That's a stupid idea. I'll give you that one.
And then like, okay, yeah, solid rock thing makes sense. However, and then like they seem to have all these different rules, like vibrations, like, all right, they don't hear us talking, so be quiet. But then the next thing they're shouting at each other, and the graboids don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then they can seem to eat through certain things, but then suddenly it's like, oh, that we rock, no, we can't eat through that. It just seems to change the rules for when they want.
There is the one bit where they're like, they deal with them all, and then they're back inside the shop, and then like the fridge or freezer starts making a noise.
Yeah.
Like, you were talking at a volume that was the same as what the noise that also
exactly.
But you were talking to it. It's like, why is that much? And then you all run over there. That's going to make more noise and more vibration. It's like, you got to think. But yeah, given it like they're stuck, I'm like, I think they do pretty well. The number of times that it was another idea, how do we get out to get help? And then something foils it. I thought they were doing okay coming up with plans.
That's one of my low points, is how that graboid knew to go for that car. The car wasn't making any movements or noise, but it knew the car was right there and it sucked it down. But it destroyed it.
He preempted it.
Yeah. Well, there's it's the one where they were in the bulldozer where it cut the ravine.
Well, the bulldozer was my next low point. Like, that was part of my stupid plans. It's like, all right, we'll get the whatever 25-ton bulldozer. It can't eat that. It's like, bullshit. It could have just made a little hole and it would have fallen in. End of their escape plan.
Well, what I've got in terms of low points that's no pun intended attached to that is, we'll take the bulldozer. It can't eat that. Yeah, and we'll attach that broken old trailer on the back. We can eat that. Shot everyone at the back. They can all get eaten. So yeah, that was what jumped out at me. That's the end of the film, though. My first low point, which at the time I wrote down as a low point, is how bad Kevin Bacon's hammering was in the first scene of the film. But in my trivia research, I found out that he did that as a prank on Fred Ward, as in he came up with the idea of, I should miss this as many times as possible before hitting it. So the reaction that he gets off of Earl is his natural reaction, because
I've counted that as my stat. He was like, he missed that like 8 or 9 times.
But yeah, he did it on purpose. But yeah, my first low point was, how bad is he at hammering? Because it's opposite of being satisfying. It's like, you got to hit that. Got to hit. Why have you not hit it yet? Why have you not held it yet? That was my first low point. My next one is, how did it take them to the next day to come up with the pole vaulting idea? Like, it was daytime. They got stuck on that rock. They cannot move from, I don't know, about a 2-meter square that they're on. And it's the next day, they're like, we could take these bits of wood that we could reach and we could try and go somewhere else. It's like
these perfectly round, smooth bits of wood.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, I would have gone maybe at most an hour before I thought, right, I could do something with that bit of wood that's down there.
I would have 100% pushed Chris off there and ran.
The other way, yeah.
Not even surprised by that.
I'm out.
And then my last low point, I'll just rattle through mine, is the two gun nuts. I think the Gummer family, I think something Gummer, not understanding the radio message that they can clearly hear. Like, okay, at the beginning, okay, we can't quite hear you on the wrong frequency. Okay, I can hear you now. They're under the ground. They're under the ground. They're under the ground. Oh, we could just do this. They're under the ground. They're under the ground. It's like, just listen. They're under the ground. It's like, you just would not understand what the problem was, and that just wound me up as well. Things irritated me. That's my low points.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Like, as well, I don't have many low points either. It's just I get annoyed by the little things in this film.
Yeah, same.
Well, controversially, the graboids for me, they look like just fucking jobbies. Especially that one when it comes out of the cliff at the end and just plops down. It's just like a jobbie.
That's what weird underground animals look like. Look at a mole. It looks like a wee jobby.
Well, no, at least you can tell that is. It just looks like a poop with dicks in it.
For God's sake. I mean, we've hit the bottom now, I think.
Description.
Speaking of dicks, my next low point is Melvin. That boy needs a good kick in the balls.
I do acknowledge him. I've got him as, I think it's most annoying kid later on. Yeah. He didn't deserve a low point. He doesn't deserve to be best bell end. Oh. It's like, how he didn't get his comeuppance.
One person you just wanted to get eaten.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's my last low point, is him.
Not much in the way of low points. We've kind of breezed through them quite quickly there. So yeah, nothing too critical, I would say. On to the stats then. 0.4 on the podcast. Now, pardon my French, but there were 17 shits in the film, and there were 2 F
at the end.
Like it's that one. Sorry. 2 F-bombs. There were 18 other F-bombs, but in order to get a PG-13 rating, they took out 18 Fs here, there, and everywhere, which is why they're referred to as being mother humpers. That used to be something else.
That kind of annoyed me. Add that. Like, why would you call something a mother humper?
Well, because they weren't allowed to say the F word. Another one was, can you fly, sucker? It wasn't sucker initially either. So yeah, there were 20 Fs, and it got a R rating.
This is just like YouTube. We can say fuck cunt a few times and still get away with it for being kid friendly.
If you're going to put it in once, just put it in as many times as you need. It's already in there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not going to affect.
Little kids don't give a shit about fucks. Or they don't give a fucks about shits.
Either or. That was another one where I think he got at one point. Val goes, "What the shit?" That was meant to be what the f.
That phrase now is quite good after Free Guy, so I'll allow that one.
6 explosions. All of them were pipe bomb related. I didn't count any other kind of other puffs of smoke or destroying like a building from underneath. Not really an explosion. And 10 deaths. They were all human deaths. I don't know if you want to count any graboid deaths or not. Onto the quotas. Dead animals. Yes, a sheep and a horse at least died. Did we have cows? Yes, we did. We had cows immediately. The first shot of the film has a cow in it. No goats. Did we have anybody peeing or defecating? Yes, immediately. The first shot of the film, Kevin Bacon peeing. And then the two of them get covered in sewage 10 minutes into it. So technically we've got a bit of shite in there as well. No pedos, the devil, and the KKK didn't show up either. So we're kind of safe.
Well, I don't know. Nestor kind of looks a bit funny.
Maybe it could have been. He could have been any of the above or all three. I don't know. I thought for Tremors, I'd count how many Tremors there were. But not that often in the film does the screen actually shake and all that. So 4 times is there a visible tremor. Rhonda's machine spits out 4 times that it has another tremor that's not appearing on the screen. But other than that, it's kind of a rumbling noise, but that might just be the beast itself moving. So not that much in the way of tremors. And then did they say Tremors? Did they say the thing?
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. I thought about it. I don't remember. I thought I maybe missed it, but no, they never. They mentioned kind of other words related to it. Yeah. I think the title of the film might have come after they'd made it, so they had other like Beneath Perfection was one of the original names for the title, and a few other ones like Silent Death. They had some really terrible ideas, but yeah. So I think Tremors must have been a late addition. Chris, have you come up with any stats?
Yeah, I counted how many times they did rock paper scissors in Air 131. Technically, the one that Val did win, he lost because he didn't get the good gun.
You're right, yeah. Andy, you might want to make note of that for later on. Is that your only stat?
No, because it was really quite a low number of the population. I carried the actual population, and there was 14 people there.
There is. That's also a separate part of the quiz, but we'll get onto that later as well. This has got all my information.
Right. I'm still going to throw the quiz.
Yeah, well, you'll struggle this week, trust me. Andy, most pornographic scene?
Right, struggled again. Like, we keep picking films where there's no good pornographic stuff. However, I'm going to say the graboids because of Chris's reasons for hating them. Because they just look like flying poops.
Very phallic. I don't know.
And yeah, they're pretty good puppets. I'll give them that. And like when they move through the sand, the little explosions or however they did the effect, yeah, it was all good. It was good shit.
I would offer up when the graboid goes underneath the kind of the wooden sort of boards outside within the shops, and it goes.
Yeah.
That was satisfying. So I don't know. That's.
Yeah. No, graboids in general, they're good puppets.
I like them. I don't have any stats on them, whether they made X amount of them and 10 people had to operate them. I don't know anything like that. Unfortunately, I can't offer stats. So on to the quiz then, which is going to be a laugh. This is going to be the easiest quiz ever. I think Chris is.
I forgot everything, so don't worry.
Well, you're going first anyway. I think I gave all the easy. I've tried to fix it.
Graboids.
So Andy, you're first. Andy, your first question. Don't give away all your correct answers yet. What do Val and Earl do as a job? You've got two. I've got 2 options you can work with. Any of your guesses, I'll take.
Fencers.
Not really. Give me another guess.
Maintenance guys. I don't actually know.
I'll give you maintenance guys because this is a one I'm fixing.
They're hired help or handymen.
They're handymen, is what they say in conversation. Right. But the side of the van says odd jobs. But yeah, I'll give that one to Andy. Chris.
I was just picking jobs they actually did.
Yeah, I tell you. Chris, what was yesterday's breakfast?
Eggs. Over easy.
Oh, very good. That's exactly right. That's what won rock, paper, scissors. So it may have been bologna and beans, but eggs over easy actually won in the rock, paper, scissors. Very good. Andy, how many monsters were there?
4.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 3 because you said 3 before.
There's no cheating in that one. Chris, who is the owner-operator of the market, i.e. general store?
Chang.
Can you give me his first name?
Do we hear his first name?
Yep, we do. It's actually on.
I'm going to say Walter Chang.
That is correct. Yes.
Is it?
God damn it.
Is it?
So we're still at 2-2. Right,
I don't know where I plucked Walter from, but
He's not the most Walter-looking guy. Right, Andy. So remember, I've told you keep sharp. Who wins more games of rock paper scissors? Between Earl and
Wow.
Val. That's incorrect. Earl wins
Is
3-1. Yeah.
Alright.
yeah, Fred Ward wins.
Yeah, Fred Ward wins more. Chris, I need a specific answer here, okay? Because otherwise you're going to take the lead. What did or does Bert put in the pipe bombs?
Oh, shit lying about the house.
Unfortunately, the correct answer is just household chemicals in the proper proportions, is what he puts in them specifically. That's what I was looking for. Right, so we're still 2-2. No worries. Right. On to the last question each, but there's more to come. Andy, what name do the townsfolk settle on for the monsters?
Graboids.
Graboids is correct. Right. Chris, if you get this one right, we're a tie. If not, you lose. Chris, how many rooms do we see in the film?
2.
That is correct. We only ever see the inside of
that.
the store and the inside of the Gummer's basement is all we see. Everything else is outside in the film. Tiebreaker. Tiebreaker question. Well, actually, I've got 2 tiebreakers because this one might be very easy. I'll go to Andy first. No, I'll go to Chris first. Make it easier for Andy. Chris, how far is it to Bixby?
30 miles.
And Andy, what's your answer?
29 miles.
Incorrect. It's 38 miles.
Ah!
So Chris wins the tiebreaker.
What was his other one?
So what has the tiebreaker? I thought if any of you nail what it is, I wasn't sure how much it stood out. I was going to do a backwards and forwards. Can you name the 14 inhabitants of the town of perfection?
Oh, Jesus, no.
Which I thought you might struggle with. So
So
there are
this is what I took notes of because I thought you'd ask him. Is his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Tammy Lynn Baxter?
Nope.
The place, Bixby. And the Gummer's license plate is Uzi for you.
Oh yeah, nearly had Uzi for you.
I don't bother paying attention or writing notes.
But yeah, I thought you would. How about Chris? Why don't you have a bash at naming the 14 people that live in perfection? See if we can eliminate them all.
There's Bart, Nestor, obviously Earl and Val, Walter, Melvin, the girl and her mum. I can't remember her names.
Mindy and Nancy, that's them.
Mindy and Nancy. Then there's the doctor and his wife.
Unfortunately, they don't count. The 14 is the people who live in perfection. They have not yet moved to perfection, so they are not part of the 14.
How is it? They're there. How does that not count?
Just the person not like someone's going to town, change the sign. Like no one's waiting at the sign. So they have not yet moved to the. They are not part of the 14, unfortunately.
What else is there? The old man, Fred, and the guy that got stuck up the pole.
Correct. Right. You have got 3 to go, I believe.
Hey.
It's 3 to go. You said both the Gummers, didn't you? I'll count them, saying both of them. So it's 3 people there. You don't. You're giving up at 11.
He's lost. Graboid 1, Graboid 2, Graboid 3,
I'm gonna give
Graboid
up.
4.
I don't think you said Miguel. I'll give you Miguel.
Oh, Miguel! How can I forget Miguel?
Not Miguel. But the last
Mario.
2, who we don't ever see in the film, are Melvin's mum and dad, because they live there.
Oh, I thought like Nestor was his dad or something.
I thought so as well, because they kind of act sort of like that, but no, apparently Melvin's mum and dad are the actual other people who I'm assuming are out of town or get eaten very quickly and no one ever.
Oh, that's where I got my 14 from. I was counting the doctor and his wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they don't count yet apparently. So there you go. Well, that was impressive though. I say 11 out of 14 is not bad. And Chris won the quiz that I tried to fix in Andy's favour. Unlucky though, Andy.
Shame bastards.
Both unlucky. Right, on to point 6. Movies within movies. Not much for me to pick up on. References and other suggestions of parodies and things. Jaws, immediately. That's the first thing. And then straight away Jurassic Park. Not because Ariane Richards in it, but because the bit in the car was very Jurassic Parky. And of course,
right, yeah.
Jurassic Park came after this, so it's more copy
Yes.
Tremors than the other way around. They mentioned Rambo, I should say, at one point. And when we did The Mummy, I set the time. I was like, I recognise this bookshelf scene in The Mummy, and I reckon it's from Tremors when she's in this general store and all the shelves falling down.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's taken from this as well. But that's it. I just got those 4. That was all I got. And Never Not Good. Definitely building a small town so that I know where everything is and where everybody is at all times. And also destroying half of it always helps as well. But yeah, I like movies where they build up.
Mine's is where it's monsters just go splat and explode everywhere.
Yeah, a good big just blood explosion. Is always
Yeah.
good. And I was going to say something like movies that are all set in the one day, but it's actually over probably about 2 or 3 days, isn't it? There's a couple of times where it goes to night. But yeah, Chris, what have you got for movies or movies?
The only person who I could see returning, because I went through absolutely everybody, is that apparently there's an actor for the Graboid who was also in Mortal Kombat as Goro.
I got that.
That's the only one.
Tom Woodruff Jr., who is suspicious. He's uncredited as a Graboid and uncredited as Goro. So I might see some guy called Tom who's like, oh yeah, I was in that movie, I was in that movie. Chris has actually fallen down somewhere that he's already fallen down before with someone who has already returned that he missed as well. As Frank Welker, again, did the noises of the Graboids.
Well, he didn't appear. I googled the IMDb and all that, and he wasn't there on the list.
He's previously done Shao Kahn and Reptile's voices in Mortal Kombat as well. Funnily, there's 2 Mortal Kombat people. But he did voices in DuckTales. He did the creature voices in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That was the last time you missed him. And apparently he did special vocal effects for Tank Girl as well, did Frank Welker. But yeah. And I
He's
think
like a ninja. He doesn't appear.
he is our most frequent person who appears, I think. But all he ever does is like weird animal noises. I'm not sure if it's him as well, but apparently the Graboid noises from this, the sound effects can be heard in Starship Troopers. So technically the Graboids we've had before, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know who made them. But yeah, just your other guy as well, and that's it, Chris. So it wasn't as many as 10 or whatever it was the last time.
Okay, as for us, I thought this was fairly easy. Like, me and Andy are Val and Earl. Like, we've got the exact same dynamic. Like he would say, he'd push me off the rock. That's exactly what...
Val and Andy.
Yeah. So yeah, he'd be Earl, I'd be Val. And I
hair.
can see you being a bit of a Burt, Bruce. Like, I'm sure you've got like a secret gun stash hiding somewhere.
I've genuinely got me as Bert on my own as well. I just thought I wanted to be happy. I'll just shack up. Like, we've been through lockdown. I could do that. Yeah. I'll stay away from everybody. But I put Andy as Walter Chang because he knows how to make money, does Walter. He's very quickly can make on something. I'm like, that's Andy all over. Yeah. And I just put you as old Fred, Chris. I don't know why. I didn't want to make you Melvin. And I thought I can't make you either Val or Earl. So I thought, oh, you can be old Fred. I thought that was one of the best deaths I would have said in the film with old Fred. So I gave you that. Nothing too exciting. Andy, have you recast anybody else in this film?
Right. This one is special. So I'm thinking to improve the film for Chris, you take the Graboids out, all 4 of them, and you replace them with another Great 4 duo, the Teletubbies. Underground Teletubbies just coming up going, oh, and just killing people.
Can you imagine that? Just Tinky Winky just with his handbag grabbing people and running away.
Take them into a hole.
The green one with his hat, just sticking the hat over people in his car and them away.
It'd be terrifying.
Diving at the end, pole falling to his death.
Like they're just standing on the hills and all you hear is the belt what's it called? Lala's ball going boing, 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 and smashing people off the roof.
There he goes. Chris has wrote the script.
Oh, that's it. That's good. This should be getting done.
Top points. Yeah. Sensational. Yeah. Right, stick with Andy then. Point 7 on the podcast. Andy's trigger warning. I don't know. Warning all ye who enter here.
Right, this one's a literal trigger warning. Guns. Okay. Right, we can all agree he had too many guns there.
Definitely.
Right. Way too many.
More of a collection.
However, part of me kind of thinks, actually, the way the world's going, especially everybody in America, you've all got your guns. I feel like the UK should have guns again, because I want them for self-defense, because when the apocalypse comes, I want to be able to shoot some cunts. Because at the moment, I can't defend myself. So I feel like I need to go to the American situation of we need guns to protect ourselves. However, there's too many idiots over here and we just all get shot and die before the apocalypse even kicks in.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like the people you're protecting yourself from would then be armed with the weapons and are a bit more crazed.
So I'm kind of thinking like the government should give us some fair warning. The apocalypse is about to happen. We're now selling guns in Tesco's. Off you go.
That's right. Yeah, but I suppose they do that. It's like they sell them in Walmart, don't they, in America anyway? So you can't just.
Oh, they
buy
do. Yeah. Me and Sean went over to like when we were first time in America. We're just like looking. It's like right next to the cakes. It's like, there's cakes there and there's ammo here. It's mind
Get a
boggling.
sugar rush and go buy a gun.
And then just this guy just came over and just like, "Can we help you?" It's like, "No, we're just looking at the cakes and there's guns there." And the guy's like, "All right." Just random. But yeah, can you imagine that? Like just over here. I feel like we should be allowed guns. I feel like it's been taken away from us. But as we know, people can't be trusted with knives either because they're a bit too stabby with them.
Oh, yeah.
So soon I won't be able to cut my meats because. But then they'll just move to forks and spoons, so nothing's really safe. So you may as well just give us guns.
I was gonna say, like, you're not really giving people a compelling argument. Like, that's what shoot some guns.
Well, I don't know. I would have a gun. I'd be a normal person. Just have it sitting on the wall, just ready for when somebody comes to the door. I want to shoot.
with a reason, hopefully, yes.
Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh God, boom, back on them again. I thought we just said they've stopped coming around. You know,
That's why they're.
Yeah, no, but that's why.
I just give them
People have guns on their walls, ready to go. I'm just talking to my American fans out here. I'm pro guns at the moment.
Pro guns at the moment, right? Wait, right. We'll wait on that. We'll update us when you're anti-guns next time. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I think we can leave that there. Andy just wants to shoot people.
I also found about this great event. It's like kind of like Street Fighter, you know, like when they had like the Bison Market where you could buy weapons. They do that shit down at XL in London. You can actually go to like a military fair. You can buy a helicopter and missiles. It's like I'm going next year.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm going to that shit next year.
Well, I'm
I've got a guy that's getting me in.
With a stay, and we sitting there, here's a helicopter, like, it's Andy, run!
I'm saving up. Totally doing it.
Yeah, all right, we better crack on. On to point 8, our nominations. I think we've just about all nominated something so far, so we'll get through the particulars. Does anyone want to go
Best hair,
first?
Kevin Bacon.
Right, Andy, run through yours then. Best hair, Kevin Bacon. I've got that written as well.
That's me done.
That's it. Only thing that matters. Chris, do you want to hit some of yours then?
Okay, I've got a few. We've already mentioned the most annoying kid, Melvin, like proper pain in the ass. I'm going to bring it back. The biggest jump scare was when the graboid shoots the doctor's generator out the ground. I damn nearly shit myself. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I got more of a fright with the face under the hat, despite the fact that I knew it was going to be there. It still gave me more of a fright.
Oh, no, I was just saying, oh, look at this rope, and then that myself. I've gone for best death as Chang's. When it came out from under the shop and grabbed him.
That's right, yeah. My best death, I've got a question mark next to it. The graboid going out the cliff and down and exploding in the end. We don't normally count at non-people for best death, but it was my best nomination, so I might have to give you Chang, I think.
This is right up Andy's street now, but I don't know if this counts as an inanimate object, but I've gone for the gun wall. Like when it panned to their wall, I literally let out a holy shit.
You know what? That could be best pornographic moment actually when he reveals all the guns.
You've got your pro gun stance. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Best pornographic is the gun rack now. Take it back. We'll edit it back in.
Put it in post.
My best plan. This might be a first time I've nominated a non-human, but the graboid's making a trap when they're in the bulldozer.
That's actually I did Val run into the cliff, but I think you might be right. Yeah, the graboid channel, what you want to call it. Yeah.
Another pro-gun thing or an anti-gun thing, but my worst plan is giving Melvin a gun. I know it wasn't loaded, but I'm sure that prick would end up braining himself somehow with it.
Yeah, somebody shoot himself with a little bullet, yeah. Or somebody. He'd end up shooting somebody other than him, because he's that kind of guy.
Yeah. My best twist. Like, Miguel didn't die. Like, when I saw the people that were there, I was like, you'll die, you'll die, you'll die. But I was wrong about Miguel. Like, he didn't bring anything to the group, and I thought, he's definitely a goner.
He doesn't really even show up until there's the point where it's like, there's a little tractor down there that I can start. And then he stays ever after that.
I thought the grabbers were going to get him and pull him down, but no. So my best twist is Miguel not dying.
No, death of Miguel. Is that your last one? Any others?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have many. I've hit none of our 10-point podcast favourites for this. All the classics. I have no nominations for them. I've mentioned a few others, but what I have not said, I've got best special effects. Either the graboids, that was if people liked them, or the ground moving.
Oh yeah, I meant to add that.
Might be a better option. Best set, I've gone for the town itself because I keep raving about that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I've got two others. One is maybe a bit of a placeholder than now, but best song, Why Not Tonight by Reba McEntire. So the song that plays at the very end, a bit of a banger. That's Mrs. Gummer that sings that because she's a country music star.
Huh.
Reba McEntire. They were worried about casting her because they thought it would be like stunt casting, and then she auditioned and actually, you're pretty damn good at this. We want to have you in the film, so she actually kept the role. And obviously, she got nominated at the Saturn Awards, so she must have done okay. Which also reminds me, it really jumped out at me. There were two different scores for the film. The more less panicky, calmer moments and the beginning of the film was the original score written with guitars and harmonicas sounding like an old country film. And then they didn't like that, so they got another guy in to come and write a score, and that's why it gets so much dramatic later on with full-on orchestra playing. But you can actually, it really feels totally different when you're watching it. I said for me with my headphones on, felt really different kind of feel. But yeah, the very beginning, the full harmonica bit near the beginning, I'm going to love the music in this film, and it kind of goes away. And towards the end, I'm like, oh, it's quite powerful music. But yeah, they didn't like the score and changed about 90% of it after they started. And my other nomination, I think it's the first one of the season. I finally found one nominating for Best Jimmy is Bert's Truck, because Bert's Truck is a 1989 GMC Jimmy, apparently. So I finally got another nomination for Best Jimmy for the Pointy Awards. And that's all I say. None of the. I didn't have a best line, didn't have best inanimate object, didn't have Michael Pena, no twist, no bell end, none of that.
Low.
It was low on our major ones.
Put the graboids in there for best bell end.
Could do, yeah. I'll put a graboid.
Like, why now? That's the thing. Why then?
Yeah, they have hypotheticals like, oh, it could have been this, it could have been alien, it's not come from here, but they never actually explain. It's just, it's a thing. So, yeah, fair enough. I'm assuming they do in Tremors Part 20 or whatever.
I feel like when Nessie starts kicking off, he's fucked.
Yeah, exactly. On to point 9 then, the moral of the story, what we thought the lessons we're supposed to learn from Tremors are. Chris, why don't you give us your one first?
Go out and make a survivalist friend.
yeah. Find a
friend with lots of guns. It'll keep you safe.
And cans of water.
Yeah.
I've got don't live in the middle of nowhere with only one road in or out. It's definitely the moral. That's what scuppers them. And Andy, what's your moral of the story?
Bulldozers are good.
Yeah. Can't argue. That's what got them away in the end. On to point 10 then, the 10-point rating. What we think of the movie. Rate it out of 10 is our final point. I picked, so I get to go first. I feel like the film has helped with the fact that it knows what it is. Like, we know what we are, and they nail it. Like, they nail the kind of film, they're out to make the kind of film they want to make, which is the kind of sort of funny, sort of exciting, sort of scary action comedy horror film. Like a bit of everything. It's never great to any of it. I'm never like, oh my god, it's so funny. Oh my god, it's so scary. Oh my god, it's so exciting. But it does everything fine. So therefore, I enjoyed it. I like it. So I'm giving it a 7. So I'm giving it basic. There we go. Above average. I've got Chris's next. I don't know why, but Chris, you're next.
Well, I remember the graboids being a lot scarier.
He's kind
of like poop. Yeah, they just look like big turds with dicks coming out of them when I watched it now, and I just thought the film was just a bit meh. Like, it's not the worst film I've ever seen, but it's not the best. It is. It just is. So I gave it a 4.
A 4 from Chris. And Andy, what have you given it?
This is like one of these films I always put on every single time, and instantly just do this.
Yep.
Like, I mean, every time. I think even the first time I watched it, and it's like, I know every single thing that happens in this film. I just always just go, I'll happily put it on the background. Not many films will do that. It'll just sit in the background, but I'll do other things because it doesn't engage your brain, doesn't need any of that shit. I do like the Tremors franchise. Like, I've went all the way through. I've not seen the latest one that's on an island, but I do like Tremors. But this one is bang average. It's actually slightly below average. I'm going to agree with Chris. It's a 4.
As well. That would mean, I think it's that, which means I think it is officially a 5 out of 10. Yes, a 5 out of 10 for Tremors. So yeah, it's absolutely perfect for just stick it on, and it's like you paid. Oh, it's this bit, and then that bit's over, and I'll go to something else. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
That's like the first time I watched it in ages, but like I got halfway through it. I just, like Andy said, I was about to get out my phone, and I don't do that with films.
Every time.
I just watch it,
every time I do
attention the first time.
Yeah, I just
But
always do it with this film.
Yep.
I've seen it so many times, just instantly on the phone.
And there we go. Officially a 5. So yeah, like I said, it's arguable that this one doesn't fit my theme.
Okay.
However, it kinda does. Kinda. This will be the one where you're like, but at the end of the season. But I'm already saying it now, so you can't.
I'm still not even close to what thinking what you guys.
I think I know what it is.
Right. Give me a guess, Chris.
Well, I thought it was iconic music until I watched this, and then I was like, "There's nothing fucking iconic."
Ah, yeah, good point. Yeah.
And then I was just like, then I was going to do accents, but then I was like, no, because you've said it might not be in this film, I'm going to go back to iconic music.
It's not iconic music. If I had picked what I was going to pick, I would have been like, "That's you're quite right," but it's not the right answer. The 3 films I would have done would have been fit that theme perfectly, but yeah, it's not that. No, I could not have named you any iconic music from this at all. Like the song just jumped out at me at the end. I quite like that song.
When you mentioned it before, I thought, yes, I've got it.
Yeah. No, not iconic music. Any other
monsters?
It's not monsters. I thought when if this was similar to Jaws, I thought it would be that. I was like, is there anything in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Because like he's technically he's a Cyclops, but he's not really a monster. But it's not monsters either. No, Godzilla's not in the near future for my picks. So, no.
I can't remember what I've guessed. Has anybody been close to it yet?
Not really. Nothing's like, oh, they really hit it there. So not quite. It will essentially my last.
I think I was close with the KKK, but
yeah, I think. Well, there were no black people in this film, so I don't know if that helps or hinders the argument for the KKK. But yeah, no black people. But my last guess should technically, my last pick should really give away what my theme is. But we'll get there. I kind of did it so it sort of build up to it. But
I did the opposite. I got mine one and done.
Yeah, whereas Andy's was sneakily good, and we kind of worked our way there, didn't we? So,
I know you got it.
So speaking of Andy, it's his pick next. So I'm assuming you're carrying on your theme, is that right?
Carrying on the theme, which is Expendables. However, I'm also going to throw in some Halloween there because obviously it's Halloween now, so I need to do something spooky. Chris did Silent Hill. You've done Tremors, which is not spooky. So I've decided. Here we go. There can be only one scary film that I could possibly pick, starring Courtney Cox and Dolph Lundgren. Masters of the Universe.
I went to watch that the other week.
I'm not sure about this one. I'm certainly aware of it, but I'm not sure I've ever seen it before.
So yeah, my Halloween theme is Courtney Cox, but it's not a scary film by any means.
Again, it's going to be whose is more spooky, mine or yours here, I think.
Yes, the 1987 Masters of the Universe and Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren, he is your expendable in it, of course.
He is my expendable in this, yes.
George could have done 2 birds with 1 stone with Universal Soldier.
I could have, but I've already had. I wanted to do somebody who's not had a standalone film for him.
I mean, like, they could have had like, another film, but anyway, good choice.
That's it.
Yeah, I've probably seen it when I was a kid, maybe, but yeah, I have no recollection of what actually happens.
There's one scene in this which I'll tell you about beforehand. This was the film that taught me about fried chicken.
Oh, okay.
So just when you're watching it, you'll have your little inner giggle. But yeah, this is the film where I never really heard of fried chicken until I seen this film. I was like, "What is that he's eating? I must eat fried chicken."
Right, okay. Awesome. Right, okay then. There we go. So the Masters of the Universe, the 1989, that we said, some late 80s?
In 1987.
1987. Masters of the Universe. You'll have 7 days to give that a watch, and we'll get you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.